Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. The reemergence of a series once thought forgotten. The reveal trailer 2.5 years ago hit us with surprise. And now, within 2 weeks of this summer, not only did an English fan translation patch release, but is getting an official one 1 year down the line. It's quite unbelievable to see all this come together. Having only read the original around 2 years prior to the release date announcement, I cannot even imagine the sincere excitement for those who have waited since 2008. So with all that time to let anticipation build, did it meet expectations? Here I want to provide an overview on how it feels solely as a remake, going over aspects that stay the same or deviate from the original while interjecting with opinions and steering clear of major spoilers. Enjoy! From the outset, the prologue whisks you back into the mind of Shiki, the glistening moon brightening the dead of night, a vast open plain in which a fateful encounter took place. The content remains relatively the same, but set apart by the remake's cinematic style. Visuals, music, voice acting, prose, it all engenders nostalgia through a high-quality lens. Having read the original, and especially after seeing Aoko's story in Witch on the Holy Night, this was way more emotionally charged than I remember. The prologue provides a near-perfect balance of similar essence yet expansion through production and writing. This design philosophy continues forward, as just right after, the changes make the experience night and day. The change in style isn't solely on the side of visuals, as the setting steps into the modernized metropolis of 2014 Soya, in lieu of the suburban town of 1999 Misaki. Setting and style are mutualistic, providing room for the other to show off. Met with large-scale backgrounds and character art of similar pulchritude, almost always animated in some form or fashion breathes life into the world of Tsukihime. As for the writing itself, though it's a bit difficult to tell the improvement through words alone due to the difference in translation groups, it's the telling of events that does so. The writing feels a lot more engaging, grabbing interest through insight woven into every scene. Every bit of writing, scene direction, and music allows you to revel in the tranquil everyday life of Shiki better than before. Then, as characters make their introduction with animated qualities at the forefront, their dialogue and body language strike a good balance of upfront yet subtle characterization to pique intrigue. Some traits may be slightly tweaked, their designs more than likely changed, but their core remains intact. And it's the voice and artwork that really sells these characters. At first, I thought it was going to be difficult to replace the iconic voices and art from the original Tsukihime, Melty Blood, and Carnival Phantasm. However, swiftly found this new cast and style to be a perfect fit. All these aspects ease you into the lives of these characters and the world they are a part of. It's at times easy to forget this is a visual novel with how dynamically cinematic it all is. However, this does come at a cost for those who prefer the more simplistic, amateurish charm of the original. The shift in setting and style can take away from the enclosed, almost personal feel of a suburban town. The filtered photograph backgrounds with minimal effects and precise sentences gives a more gritty and unsettling tone from the beginning, giving the impression anything could be hiding right around the corner. It is more grounded, down to earth in a style seldom used today. The remake, on the other hand, as said before, takes a cinematic approach, with vibrant colors and descriptive writing. When the creeping horror does set in, the former hardly goes out of its way, being lifted mostly by its writing, while the latter utilizes precise and well-directed visual and audio effects in tandem with prose to portray such. Though it may seem the remake has the original completely beat, there is something innate in simplicity which can't be translated. Though I personally appreciate both, it is intrinsically two different styles, two methods which may resonate differently with different people. The only time I was taken out for a bit was when the scale of the threat scales to the setting. The clash between the grounded of before and movie-esque of now does compete in a few of its action segments. Part of this is due to the new character Vlad Arcangel, a replacement for Narrow Chaos who, for his own reasons, isn't bound to the unwritten rules set by dead apostle ancestors. Since I find Narrow really interesting, I would have loved to get more of him, but Vlad plays the role well and becomes a not too deep but fairly complex character in his own right. Although the scale he and some other characters brought was enough to make me feel a bit jarred at first, once I accepted it, I actually came to enjoy it. This isn't too often of an occurrence, and once you look past it, the action presented through the production and writing holds its own very well. However, if this is your first experience with Tsukihime, these 2 points will hardly skew your enjoyment. For the routes themselves, though they carry relatively similar structure and story beats to their original counterpart, there is so much added in between. Arcueid's route bears the most resemblance to its origin, albeit far from the same. Because of its extended length, around double of her original route, a greater emphasis is placed on Shiki and Arcueid's character, shining light on their unique dynamic through a relationship of contrasting philosophies regarding life. While their nightly investigations remain the bulk of the plot, certain events and scenes are changed up or added in, not only deepening their purpose to the characters and story, but also to introduce uncharted plot threads to be explored in future routes. Scattered about are small hints towards changes in this new timeline, whether that be for later in this piece of the moon or over on the far side. There is something there to keep you guessing, having you question even what you may know. Overall, Arcueid's route is a deeper, more elaborate introduction to the world, striking a fair balance of familiar and new. But it's Ciel's where things get interesting, especially for returning fans. Ciel's route is of a loose resemblance. Some of the important plot beats and moments carry over, but weaves many new threads, concepts, and characters into it seamlessly. By the end, it only slightly resembles the original, and for the better. For me, the original felt somewhat lacking. There were a lot of interesting ideas, but felt underdeveloped. It's been a few years, so I can't quite point out specifically how, but this remake makes everything feel complete and tightly sewn together. Part of the thanks goes to the 2 new vital characters, Mario and Noelle, who both are deeply embedded within the world and have pre-existing relationships with characters of old. They provide extra eyes to flesh out the current conflict, while standing on their own fantastic arcs. Noelle really surprised me, as I at first thought she was a simple comic relief, when in reality my initial impressions were far off. Mario, on the other hand, I'm a bit more conflicted about. With all the small details and build-up he had across both routes, I was invested in his character. But I don't know if I missed something or failed to put the pieces together. I just felt his own personal arc lacked a proper conclusion. I'm currently playing Melty Blood type Lumina story, and there are some interesting details, but I just wish he was in the main story. Though it's not the biggest issue, and luckily this small thing turned out to be my biggest gripe with the remake as a whole. Nevertheless, both of them are amazing characters, and it's not just them that shine. Shiki, Ciel, and Roa are beautifully well-rounded and developed. This rendition of the route fully showcases their complexity as individuals. Through moments of introspection, It makes Ciel's own personal conflict and road to finding her salvation so much more endearing, and Roa's journey much more tragic. This deeper look at the characters in turn fleshes out the complex web of relationships and dynamics which I felt was lacking before. Shiki and Ciel's is especially great to see play out. Everyone, both returning and new, brings something fresh to the table. Because of all these new elements at play, the divergence from its base is made noticeable early on, going on to weave a complex narrative carrying the same ideas and events, but executed on a whole other scale. A scale that takes its time to develop each side of the conflict, each character and their aspirations, dreams, and outlook on life. As a result, its themes are more pronounced and nuanced. From the start and to the very end, the remake takes the essence, the heart of itself, and makes it shine brighter than ever before. There may be a few aspects that detract, perhaps because of its extended, less concise length. Maybe it's the olden day charm that has been weathered, or the new direction taken in some of its climactic action sequences. But what's undeniable is that this remake is a testament to how far Type Moon has come. Although Mahoyo and many other Fate properties made that clear, this sets it in stone, as this is a direct contrast for the past and present Type Moon. Though I do not speak for everyone, it not only hit, but surpassed all of the expectations I had for it. After finishing it, I just felt an emptiness from the complex blend of numerous emotions that continue to swirl throughout the finale, which came as a surprise. The near side was a part of Tsukihime I enjoyed, but was far overshadowed by the far side. But now, whether it's due to the improved writing, my own development, or a mixture of both, I really cherish these stories. It's also important to realize this is still only one half of the final project. Other side of Red Garden is hopefully on the horizon, and my excitement for it is at an all-time high, due to the plethora of both obvious and subtle hints towards changes scattered throughout both routes. There's a particular lead up to a bad end in Ciel's route, which gets me very excited to hear Ryunosuke Kanemoto's performance as Shiki. Spoilers ahead, so feel free to skip, but if you don't mind, take a listen. Chilling. It has me wondering how some of the fan-favorite scenes will play out with these improvements. It's amazing to see Tsukihime is also getting an official English translation and is getting a PC release as listed in the recent Type Moon Ace. So hopefully, we can read this second half a bit sooner, if not at the same time when it releases for Japanese readers. But until then, all we can do is wait. I will have my usual style of review, looking past it being a remake and solely as a project of its own, coming soon. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Later.